PokeBabs! Hey guys, and welcome back to PokeBabs. As we go into round 6 here for the August PokeBeach tournament, I want to remind you guys that I do have a deck analysis for every one of these tournaments that I participated in. There's a deck analysis, goes over specific reasons why I picked certain cards and cut other ones in the deck. So there is a link in the description, and there always is in these tournament videos. So just wanted to let you guys know that as we go into this match here. We're going up against Mussoleeni, and the typings, as I recall, looked kind of like Night March. And this is pretty much the last stand for Night March because this was from August, so technically it was before rotation had happened, and so we were playing old format, and thusly we still had Night March in the rotation now. The interaction between this deck and Night March is kind of interesting. We can take multiple knockouts, which is pretty important. Weakness on Joltix, resistance for Pumpkaboo, and a lot of it just comes down to how well we draw versus how well they draw. Can we get focus sashes down? Can they megaphone the focus sashes? That type of thing. So we do see a Joltik though, so it is going to be a Night March, and we do unfortunately see that that Fighting Fairy Belt come down, which does make the Joltik knockouts a little bit tougher. Especially since it'd be nice to take a knockout on a Joltik with a Carbink break. Well, I mean, now that it has basically 70 HP, we can still do it if we attach a strong energy, because we can hit for 80 damage that way. So it's not impossible. And we do see the Dimension Valley come down, and then a Shaman come down, which is not a big surprise. Now, it is nice to see Shaman come down. It could allow us to take a 2 prizes later in the game, or maybe even 3 prizes on a turn. So that's pretty important. Now, the weakness and resistance doesn't really matter for Medicham, though, and so for that reason, we actually don't really mind the resistance from Pumpkaboo. But we do want to still... The problem is that if a Pumpkaboo gets Fighting Fairy Belt, 100 damage is a little tough to hit in one hit with a single Yoga Kick. We can do it with... We can hit them twice, but obviously they're only needing 1 energy to attack, and so that's just kind of some of the trade-offs you see. We see another Shaman come down. We see another Fighting Fairy Belt on another Joltik. I don't mind as much if they go on Joltiks. Hitting 70 damage is somewhat reasonable. I mean, that's a couple strong energy on a Medicham. So we see Professor Sycamore. And it seems like Night March is getting a pretty typical hand there. They do have to discard a double colorless there. And we do see they're playing Acrobike and Enhanced Hammer. So that's interesting for sure. The Enhanced Hammer might come into play. We do see 1 puzzle time discarded as well. So that does mean that unless they retrieve that puzzle time with the, when they play double puzzle, we're only going to be seeing them grab back 2 cards. We don't see a Megaphone yet, though. So we will see if that comes into play. And we do see a puzzle time grabbed here with the Trainer's Mail. I wonder if they'll be playing the puzzle time this turn. They will not be, and they pass the turn to us. Now, we do have Karina, which is pretty ideal here. We can grab another Meditite so that we're basically... They can't just Lysander the Meditites. And we can grab a Focus Sash. This way, our Carbink will survive the turn, barring a... The Carbink should survive the turn, barring them getting a Megaphone. And so I think that's the right thing to do here. We do have both Regirocks in the deck, which it could come in handy at some point. Although, obviously, we don't want to be benching EXs against Night March. And we will put down a Strong Energy on a Meditite. And this is sort of baiting the Lysander and hoping that they don't go for the... Basically, I'm giving them a choice. Either you can go try and track down the Meditite, although then you're putting an energy in my discard pile, or the other option they have, which it looks like they're going to play Lysander. The other option they have is to Megaphone and then knock out the Carbink, in which case a Meditite is powered up and ready to go for the next turn. So we do see a Lysander doing 110 damage with that Fighting Fury Belt for them. And now what we really need here is a break and energy, which we can definitely grab with the Karina. So I'm going to use that Karina here. It's very important that we have a Professor's Letter, though, and it looks like we do. We could also Ultra Ball for a Shaman, but I think we don't. Like I said, we don't want to put down Shaman, but it is in the deck, which is a good thing to keep in mind. And so here's the thing, and here's my concern, is just getting the energy, then Medicham can get knocked out. So, and we'd rather attack with a strong energy once again. So maybe the Shaman play is a little better. I mean, it doesn't give us the guarantee of getting an energy this turn, which is obviously a little risky. But if we get a strong energy, then we get a knockout, which is obviously a really good thing. So kind of going to take a little bit of a chance here. Now, I think it's fairly likely we get an energy. Question is, can we get another Focus Sash? Can we get a strong energy in particular? And maybe even a Battle Compressor even would be pretty good too. So we do have some options here. We see we're going to go set up, grab 5 cards here, and see if we get an energy here. It's going slow, and okay, last card's energy. So at least we got the energy. We did unfortunately not get the Focus Sash, but besides the fact that we did have to put down that Shaman, we didn't lose too much out of this. In fact, we got a better supporter for next turn. We will put that strong energy onto the Medicham and hope that they don't Lysander that thing up. Although if they do, then we can take a knockout on the Joltik with a Carbink break to power up another attacker. So some options here for us. We see probably going to be a double puzzle time here. We'll see if they grab that Lysander again. We see the Lysander and the double colorless they discarded earlier, so they do grab him, which means that they won't be getting anything else back from the discard pile. And that could be really good, especially like with the Megaphone. If they have only one Megaphone, that means they can only play one this game. So we do see a double colorless come down onto Pumpkaboo, and we're probably going to see the Lysander, grabbing the Medicham and taking a knockout. And I think that's probably the best play for my opponent. It does definitely hurt us a lot. Now, the good thing is we can Sacred Ash, get back all of our Medicham line before we Sycamore. And in this situation, we could bring up anything because we'll probably put a Floatstone on something, but we know what we want to go for now. Unfortunately, we didn't want to... What I didn't want to do was burn that VS Seeker, but then I had to burn 2 VS Seeker. That's definitely not something we want to be doing. So instead, opting to go for the Karina here, since we will take a knockout. And this way we can power up a Meditite and get a Focus Sash on it. Alternatively, I could go for another Carbink break. I'm not really sure. I don't think that would be as good as just getting another Meditite. So this way we can put a Focus Sash on the Meditite and then start to power it up at least. So I'm a little wary about putting on the Focus Sash, but I think now is the best time to do it. If they do have a Megaphone and a Lysander, that would be very unfortunate. So we'll take the knockout, and it's going to be 5 to 4 prizes now. We'll get a level ball, which is could be useful next turn. At least that way we can guarantee that we get a Medicham. So far, our deck is working for us, but unfortunately, our opponent has been getting the Lysanders when they need them. And we see them bring up Pumpkaboo, which makes the most sense. Now, hopefully they don't get a Fighting Fairy Belt on it. That's kind of the key thing here. Unfortunately, we do see a Fighting Fairy Belt come down right as I say that. And so, probably going to have to be 2 Yoga Kicks to it. We see a Zerostic coming down. Probably going to get rid of, if they play it, they're probably going to get rid of the Focus Sash on the active. And that's exactly what we see. So we do see a Night March for a knockout doing 130. And so I'm going to send up Shaman EX just because we do have the Float Stone, and I think that's probably the best candidate for the Float Stone. And we will Level Ball, grabbing a Medicham. And now we can use that Sacred Ash to get back even more than if we had used it last turn. So maybe a little better use of the Sacred Ash this way. We actually get back all 5 Pokemon in our discard, which is nice. And I think this is the turn we have to just go for a Sycamore. We do need an energy. And we do get the energy, thankfully. We also get another Focus Sash, which, again, I'm not very keen on putting it down right now, just in case there is a Megaphone coming from our opponent. And so definitely going to retreat into Medicham. We could put down a Regirock. I don't think it's particularly necessary. We're going to be doing 100 with 2 Yoga Kicks right here. A lot of it comes down to now, does our opponent get the Zero-Sick? Does our opponent get the double colorless? Do they get the Megaphone? So we'll see what they can do here. And we are going to grab a Strong Energy off the prizes. We are still down by 1 prize, but looking a lot better. We'll see that our opponent does have a huge hand, and we have not been able to find N, unfortunately. Ending our opponent earlier would have been really helpful. But it will become increasingly helpful in the future. We see a Battle Compressor. Probably just getting rid of some cards that they don't need. Maybe a supporter they want to use this turn. Looks like they just get rid of a bunch of supporters there, including a Teammates. We see, oh yeah, and Teammates and another Battle Compressor. Do not expect to see them using the N on us anytime soon. So we do have a Medicham. For next turn, we have, well, so we don't have a Carbink break yet, but given the opportunity, I'd probably put the Strong Energy on a Carbink and then break Evolve. We do see, unfortunately, they are getting the Zero-Sick this turn. They do put down another Shaman, though. And if they don't get another Pokemon down, then they could be in a really awkward spot if we take a knockout on this Joltik. So a lot of it comes down to here. Do they get another Pokemon down, or are they going to have to promote a Shaman next turn? We just see the Night March here. Now, obviously, the downside is that we are susceptible to being knocked out by, say they did 100, 150 there. We are susceptible to being knocked out, having our Shaman knocked out. And a lot of stuff comes down to, we're going to put down the Regirock, because at this point, the Shaman is just as fragile. We'll put a Float Stone down because we do have the Regirock. And we really need a Carbink break here pretty badly. And unfortunately, we do miss the Carbink break, which I think really might spell the end for us. We can retreat, but then all our opponent needs is a Lysander. So pretty unfortunate that we didn't get any way into a Carbink break there. I believe we still have 2 left in the deck, so just really unfortunate the way that turned out. We just have to sort of hope our opponent doesn't have anything. We just see the 2 breaks there. And discard some stuff here. I'm pointing out, I was like, we're right there. They're right there. We can get rid of, I don't know, we probably doesn't matter too much, but we can just get rid of a few things that we don't really care to draw into, like Zygarde. And I don't know. We want the N, but discarding it could give us a better chance to top deck into a VS Seeker. And we'll just get rid of Carbink, I guess. Shouldn't need another one since we've already got one in our hand. And so I think what we're going to have to do here is probably just retreat into the Carbink and hope that our opponent does not have a way into Lysander. But with us not ending them, I would expect that they probably do have a way into it. So, unfortunate there for sure. I think this turn could have been a really big turn if we had gotten a knockout. Yeah, I mean, I could try and retreat into Regirock, but then all they need is one more Night March in the discard pile. Or, actually, they would need 2 more Night Marches in the discard pile to get a knockout, so not sure there. Or I could do this where I retreat into Hawlucha as just giving it as a sacrifice. This way, my Carbink break will be clean when it comes up if I get a chance to even use it. Next turn, ideally, I'd probably go for an AZ on Shaman, depending on what we top deck. But I am anticipating our opponent has a way, and yeah, it looks like they do have the Lysander. So, unfortunately, I can't remember if we went, I think we went second. So, in the first game, or in this game here. So that's kind of unfortunate, but we will be going first next game. We do see the Night March for 300 damage. And our opponent does take the first game. But you can see kind of, I mean, the interaction is interesting. I think it doesn't necessarily favor either side. I think Night March is the more consistent build, so they, in a sense, will more consistently get the knockouts that they need when they need them. But at the same time, I think we can kind of get them to really awkward situations where they have to miss a knockout because of focus sashes. So just have to be aware of that. We do mulligan, though, as well as our opponent. And looks like we're going to be starting Carbink this game. Our hand isn't particularly great, so we may end up having to... Unfortunately, we may end up having to set up with the Shaman this first turn. And I obviously don't want to be doing that if I can avoid it. Let's see what our opponent is doing here. Maybe they're starting Shaman. That would be great. They are trying to figure out what they want to send as their active. And we will click done. Let's see what happens here, though. Going first is definitely helpful, though, helping us get down as many... if we can get down as many Meditites as possible, that is ideal. We do see them start with Joltik, and we do top deck a Karina off of this, which is a nice top deck for sure. What we can do here is we can either we can grab the Meditite and Focus Sash. The other option is to grab a Meditite and a Level Ball for another Meditite. But the Focus Sash is fairly important as well. We do have that Megaphone there, which I think is going to come in handy. Or it could come in handy. And the unfortunate thing here is our Carbink may fall. Now, we do have Ultra Ball though, so we could Ultra Ball for another Meditite or for another Carbink, which I think wouldn't be a bad idea necessarily. We will attach a Focus Sash. I think we'll just do it to the active, and we'll put a Fighting Energy on the bench. This is kind of the same route that I went last time. The question is it good to go for another Meditite? I'm opting not to. This could be a risky move, but I'm almost valuing the Carbink more at this point. Getting another Meditite would be okay, I suppose, but then our hand is pretty limited. We've already tossed away stuff like the Regirock, which the Regirock could be important for getting a knockout on a Joltik. Or a Pumpkaboo, for that matter. So and the reason is because Medicham's going to do 30 plus a Strong Energy is doing only 50. So we can do 60 with the Regirock, but we do see the Fighting Fairy Belt come down, and of course we want to be getting rid of those whenever we can, whenever possible. We do see the setup with the Shaman, and what else will we see here? Can they get a Lysander to knock out our Meditite? Or can they get a 0-6 to knock out our Carbink? We do see the Lysander go into the discard pile, which makes it seem like they're going to be going for that Lysander play. Another Trainer's Mail. And they do not get anything off the Trainer's Mail. We see a Puzzle of Time. Hard to tell if it's single or double. It's kind of an annoying thing in this game, but we'll find out soon enough. Perhaps they're getting that Lysander right now. If they had double puzzle, it's just a single puzzle. The question is, do they have a Shaman or a Supporter in hand? We do see Versus Seeker for a Lysander. And do they have the double colorless energy? I don't even know if they have enough. Yeah, they do have just barely enough for a knockout, I believe, with the Fighting Fury belt. We do see a Shaman come down, though, so turn will continue. Did they get the energy they needed? The fact that they played the Lysander means that they can't, they can't draw with the Supporter anymore this turn, which is good. We see an Acrobike. It's either playing a build that kind of is got some item-based draw, and we do see double colorless. Looks like they may have even gotten that off the Acrobike, which is a pretty big deal. They are going to get the knockout on the Meditite. Alright, so we're going to send up Carbink. We do have an energy in the discard now, and we have a Sacred Ash. So I think what I'm going to do here is just Versus Seeker for the Karina. We need a Carbink break. We need energy. So we'll grab Carbink break. We'll grab a Professor's Letter. Or actually, I don't want to grab the Professor's Letter because I am going to go for that Shaman play. Now, again, I am taking a little bit of a risk here, but I think it's probably a risk worth taking. We'll probably be able to get a knockout on the Joltik this turn. So we're going to grab a Megaphone, actually, making it even easier for us to get the knockout on the Joltik, and also making getting rid of that one on the Pumpkaboo, which I think is kind of important. And this way, we give ourselves a nice Shaman draw. Yep, definitely going to play the Megaphone. And then I think we will just try and play the whole hand out, probably. Or maybe we'll hold on to an Ultra Ball. Because if we Ultra Ball, then we can discard the Regirock and get it back with the Sacred Ash. And this way we at least guarantee that we'll have something to attach energy to with the Carbink. We'll set up, and we do need an energy here pretty badly. And a slow roll. Oh boy, we missed the energy. That is very, very bad. And that is definitely the risk I took doing this. Now we do get another Focus Sash down on the Meditite, which is nice. And I think we're just going to have to wait here another turn. Hopefully they don't get a Megaphone or 0-6 to knock out our Carbink break. They do still need more Night Marchers, I believe, to take the knockout too. In the discard, that is. Also, can they get more Fighting Fury belts out? We see a Lysander on a Shaman, so while they're going for a really aggressive route here now, it does get the Shaman out of play. Obviously, they could play Target Whistle. And we're going to see just the Night March for the knockout on Shaman. And we're definitely going to send up Carbink break. Now, we do really need to get the knockout here, and all that means is just getting one energy. And there's an energy off the top right there. And we'll still go for the Karina, though. This way we can get ourselves another Meditite out. So we'll grab Meditite for sure. And I don't know. We could grab Focus Sash. We could grab... we already have a VS Seeker. Maybe it would be good to grab a Battle Compressor. I think that would be great, because then we could get rid of maybe like a Sycamore for next turn. We could get Strong Energy in the discard so that we can make a more powerful Medicham. So I am going to discard 2 strong energy right off the bat, and actually, yeah, I would like to get rid of the N more because draws us only 1 less, but it will hurt our opponent for sure. I guess it'll draw us 2 less because we are going to take a knockout here, but even still, we've got most of our game plan set up. Now, I think the only thing that could be really, really devastating here is to see a Megaphone and a Lysander on that Meditite. And of course, getting the knockout. So they would need a lot. Megaphone, Lysander, double colorless. But it's definitely not unheard of. They do have at least 1 more Shaman at their disposal. We see another Pumpkaboo come down. Now, right now, we can hit right through those Pumpkaboos, which is great, as long as they don't have a Fighting Fairy Belt. We do see a Target Whistle come out, though, and this could be really, really bad for us if they have a Lysander and can take a knockout. We see a Puzzle of Time. Is it 1 or 2? It's just a single. Okay, so that's good. Otherwise, they'd probably be grabbing back a double colorless and a Lysander. And we're probably going to see a Shaman here. What are we going to see here? It'd be great if we could get a Medicham setup that can do 110. That way we can Lysander a Shaman and then hit something else for a knockout. See if that's possible. Looks like they did get a Lysander. Question is, do they have an energy? They still need the energy here. We see a Shaman come down, and they do have 1 energy discarded, 2 puzzles out of play, so they do need an energy here. With 21 cards left in deck, did they get it? Did they get the double puzzle? We see a Fighting Fairy Belt come down onto a Pumpkaboo. See a Battle Compressor. Nothing really showing us here that they have gotten it, although we do know they play stuff like Acrobike, so it's possible for them to dig a little deeper, and they can thin their deck right now. Now, we would be dodging a big bullet if we can get the Shaman out of here. We might even want to just AZ. I can't remember if we've discarded AZ yet, but we do top deck a Floatstone, though, which is great. I'm just going to check and see. Yeah, we don't have an AZ in the discard, unfortunately. So we are just going to go for the Floatstone play. And I think we're just going to Sycamore this. Well, we could end this turn, actually. Sorry, yeah, we don't have a Sycamore, but I think we can end this turn. I guess we'll put down the Fighting Stadium. Could be useful for sure. And we're going to play the N. Now, maybe it would have been better to Ultra Ball for a Medit. Interesting. Well, worst case scenario here, what we can do is we can take a knockout with Carbink Break. So I can see the N maybe being the better play, but it's a tough decision for sure. We do have an energy in the discard pile, so I don't know. I mean, worst case scenario this way, but I'm opting to go for the Karina just to make... I mean, I really don't want to miss a Medicham, but like I said, we could have taken a knockout with the Carbink Break. But what we'll do is we'll grab a Medicham and probably a VS Seeker. Focus Sash seems fair, but I think maybe a VS Seeker would be better. We do have Focus Sashes down everywhere right now. So, I don't know. Kind of an interesting decision could be made there. It is our last VS Seeker in deck, though. So, kind of a downside there. But this way, if we get knocked out next turn, we can end them down even further. And as long as we have a Carbink Break, I'm feeling okay. We do just take the knockout with the Carbink Break, although we could have taken possibly multiple knockouts with a Medicham. So we see them bring up a Shaman EX. Interesting there. We do get the AZ off of the prize, which is useful. Can deny them prizes. Now we see a Shaman with a double colorless coming down onto it, so we will be seeing a Sky Return almost certainly this turn. We see a... Okay, so we see a 0-6 getting rid of our Focus Sash. And of course the Shaman not doing any damage to our Carbink. So we do top deck Focus Sash, which is great. So I guess we'll play it down because let's see, right now we're doing 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, just shy of knockout. We can dig for it though, if we'd like. Definitely could dig for it. So, gonna retreat into the Medicham, and I think maybe it's better to just this turn AZ the Shaman, and then next turn go for something like an N. At least this way we will get a knockout on the Shaman. Unfortunately, we won't get a knockout on the Shaman and something else, but we would have needed to top deck to draw into a strong energy. So instead, we'll just take the knockout on the Shaman and force them to have a 0-sick and energy. And since they're attacking the Punku, also need a Dimension Valley. So a lot of things for our opponent to be able to get a knockout this turn. I don't think we saw a Megaphone last game, which is also something to keep in mind. We do get a strong energy off the discard or off the prizes, so would have been very hard to find a strong energy. Now we are down to 2 prizes, which means we can take a knockout on a Shaman with a Lysander. So even more important that our opponent is able to get a knockout for them. Otherwise, even otherwise, we still don't even need it because once if they don't get a knockout, we can put down the strong energy and then hit for 110 twice and take knockouts regardless. So we're definitely in a good position here as long as our opponent does not find a way to take a knockout on this Medicham, which we know is possible. See a Versus Seeker for a 0-sick, and it looks like they are going to be able to get the knockout on the Medicham, which is quite unfortunate. Now that said, we still have an opportunity here to get the win with a Medicham because, well, let's see, we don't have the Fighting Stadium in play anymore, which makes things a little bit tougher. But yeah, I think I'm going to just send up the Meditite, and we're going to take a little bit of a risk here. Top deck a Hex Maniac. We will put down that strong energy, and we need to draw into a few things here, but I think we're going to probably go for the Lysander right off the bat. We'll set up with a Shaman, maybe even for 6 cards. And here I'm going to grab a Medicham. We do see the Lysander in the deck, so that means we can Battle Compressor it away. And there's 2 Regirocks as well, so that's kind of important as well. We do have 2 Medichams, so I think the question is, what is it easier to get a hold of? Is it easier to get the Regi? So let's see. We need we're doing 30 plus 20 plus. Let's see. We would need. Doing 50. We need 1 Regirock. Actually, is all we need to get the knockout, and of course we need the Medicham as well. So we'll see what happens here. We are going to definitely get rid of just some cards we don't really care about. We don't really need another Carbink. We probably don't need Zygarde, and that Lysander is definitely the last card we want to put in there. And we also have 2 Fighting Stadiums, which will also work for us. So, yeah, I think I just... obviously, the last card we need to get is the Lysander. Not a Fighting Energy. And so that's good. And get rid of those. We're going to Lysander up Shaman. And then we're going to go for broke on this. I think we have decent odds, though, of getting the knockout here. So right now we're doing 60 damage. We just need a Medicham. And we do get it. So we are, and we also get the Fighting Stadium. So we are going to be able to take a knockout here for sure. And we'll take the last 2 prizes right there. So we'll see what our opponent wants to do, if they want to go first or second here. Another intense Night March match in our 6th round of the tournament. I think we had that a couple months ago with the Ho-Omega Manectric deck. We also had an intense matchup against a Night March in the final round. And this one is going to go to 3 games. And this final game will decide a lot. Like I said before, going 4-2, you still have an opportunity for getting prizing, but definitely 5-1, a lot better chance. I mean, you're basically guaranteed a top 8 spot, and you might even be in top 4 spot. And so, very cool opportunity here. We could get ourselves another good spot. And let's go into game 3 of round 6 here. Definitely a little bit of a confidence booster, which I think we needed coming out of the first game where things just did not go right for us. They just kept getting knockouts on our Meditites before we could really even get anything set up. Now, of course, our opponent is going first here, which does hurt us. But plenty of opportunity. Even going second, we can still get ourselves set up and force our opponent to get those 0-6. So we win the coin flip, but we can't go first, of course. And we are going to mulligan, which is definitely unfortunate against Night March. If there's any way that they're going to draw dead, it's going to be because it's not going to be aided with mulligan. So we'll mulligan. Our opponent gets a chance to look at our hand. Nothing too exciting there. I don't know if we've played the 0-6 against them, so that could be something that they are taking note of. And we're going to draw into a new hand here, and this one looks a lot better. Well, actually, it doesn't look good, but to the extent that we do have a free retreater in Hawlucha, and we do have a Meditite. Now, other than that, we really need something like a Karina here versus Seeker. Something like that would be very, very helpful, because this is not a good start. And we see an Ultra Ball out of our opponent, so they are going to keep the party going. They do get rid of that Enhanced Hammer early, which I'm happy to see. We see a Pumpkaboo come down and a Shaymin-EX setting up for 4 new cards for them. The question is, will they put down a double colorless energy on the first turn if they get one? I'm not sure if they would even want to. There's an Acrobike. Discarding Pumpkaboo, a Trainer's Mail for a Fighting Fairy Belt. So they are getting down the Fighting Fairy Belts early, unfortunately. Presumably that's going to go onto that Pumpkaboo. Yes, it does. We see another setup, only for 2 this time. And I don't think our opponent's played a supporter yet. See another Trainer's Mail. I think that's what, their third, maybe second or third. For another Ultra Ball. Will they go for another Shaymin? We see an Ultra Ball. Discarding, okay, a Lampent and a Sycamore. So they did have a supporter. And what do we see here? Another Shaymin, perhaps. Maybe another Pumpkaboo. Or if they're going to discard their hand, maybe even something like a Lampent. We see a Shaymin, though. Will they play their hand down anymore? Nope, just a setup for 3. So they do have 3 Shaymin down turn 1, which does clutter up their field a little bit. But they do still have a spot open, probably for, I'm guessing they would want to have another Pumpkaboo down. Although they have played down the Dimension Valley early, and that does give us an opportunity to bump it and put them in awkward situations once again. We see a Sycamore, though, and wow, getting rid of 2 VS Seeker. So that's pretty big. Getting rid of that Lysander, which we don't like to see. Another Dimension Valley. So the Stadium War definitely could be ours here, and that may play a big role later in the game. But again, we need to top deck something. Our opponent didn't end us. We would have loved to be end there. And are they going to pass the turn yet? I'm not sure what else they would even want to get down. Okay, well, yeah, Battle Compressor makes sense, though. And probably another PokeBeach if they get the opportunity. Now, the fact that they did get rid of 2 Versus Seekers could put us in a good situation if they can't get the Lysanders that they need. I mean, they already discarded the Lysander and 2 Versus Seekers, so it's going to be a lot tougher for them to get those consistent Lysanders. And we just draw a Fighting Stadium, which is not fantastic, but we will be able to we'll be able to kind of protect our Meditite. And here we're going to play the Battle Compressor. We're definitely going to put an end in the discard, a Strong Energy, and I don't know, we definitely want to get rid of 3 cards, so I don't know for sure. Wow, it looks like we have 2 Meditite prize too, which is not good at all. Definitely not good. And we have a Carbink break. Oh, and it's Carbink break in our hand. Okay, so there's a lot of things we could discard here for sure. We could discard something like Hex Maniac that just doesn't matter to us. We could discard something like AZ maybe that would be useful later, or the Lysander for sure. We do have all 4 Versus Seekers, so yeah. Or Karina. Looks like we do have our full art Karina prized, and so getting in the discard pile so we can Versus Seeker for it seems like a good option too. We will put down a Focus Sash, which will make it a lot harder for our opponent to get a knockout on Meditite, and then we will attach an energy and we will pass the turn. So a little bit pathetic from us. We actually could have gone for a Smack, but it wouldn't be a knockout unless we had gotten a Strong Energy down. We see an Acrobike discarding a... Alright, interesting. So, discarding a Hex Maniac, or they're playing a Hex Maniac. They discarded a Puzzle of Time, though, so they are down 2 Puzzle of Times now. We do see just a Night March for a knockout. And we do need to get a big top deck here. It's very key that we get something big like a Versus Seeker. We do get a Medicham. I guess not too bad. But obviously, here's the biggest thing, is if they get the 0-6, they can just win this turn fairly easily. And this is pretty pathetic. We actually can't even get a knockout on the Joltik because we aren't hitting for weakness. So, yeah, I'm asking my opponent, you got it? Seems like there's a good chance they do, and no, it looks like they don't actually, and so we are going to survive 1 turn. Again, we're on a 1-turn clock, though, so what can happen here? We do get a Karina, though. I suppose that's probably one of our better top decks, and we're definitely going to have a Versus Seeker, and the question is, what Pokemon is the best to grab here? Could be a Carbink, could be... It's probably going to be a Carbink, I guess. Opting for the... Well, Zygarde, I was considering Zygarde just because it could be good in the sense that it's got 190 HP, so it could wall for a little bit, and it can attack for 1 energy for weakness on the Joltik, but it also doesn't hit through weakness on Medicham or on PokeBeach. So we're just going to take a knockout here. Now our opponent will have to send something else up that we will hit. We do get a Sycamore off our prizes. They send up a Shaman, which they could get off the board with a... So here's the question. Do I call Mind here or do I Yoga Kick? And I think I'm going to call Mind, because what I really don't want them to do is I really don't want them to Sky Return for a knockout. Getting a Shaman off the field, preserving a double colorless, and getting a knockout. All those things are bad. So this way... they could put a Floatstone on and retreat and take a knockout, but I just really don't want them to get bailed out so easily. We do see an Escape Rope, though, which is kind of weird, right? Because now our opponent has brought up our Carbink, and what we can do is we can actually preserve our Medicham. We see a Night March, which is going to get a knockout, doing 130 damage. But what's kind of cool here is if we get a Strong Energy, we actually are in a really great position. We get a level ball, so we're definitely going to grab our last Meditite here, and we really need to get one off the prizes, I think. And what we're going to just do here is probably end, because our opponent, well, they are at 4 already, so maybe Sycamore is a better option. It just depends how I feel about preserving the Carbink break, but I know we do have the other one still in the deck. So probably could go for a Sycamore. They kind of didn't do much last turn. And okay, so our hand here is decent. We could Ultra Ball here. It'd be really great if we could bump the stadium, but we are going to be able to get a knockout, which is really great. And what I'm going to do here is just grab a Carbink. This way we can Carbink break next turn and kind of get things going once again. But we are going to be able to get a knockout here on the Pumpkaboo, thankfully, with the 2 Yoga Kicks. And then, I don't know, things are kind of looking up in a sense. We do get a Meditite, thankfully, off the prizes, which is huge. Very, very big. And now, obviously, with no supporter in hand, we would like to have something, but right now things are looking okay. Now, if they send up this Joltik like they do need a Fighting Fairy Belt to avoid a knockout from a Carbink break. We do see 2 Fighting Fairy Belts already in the discard pile. I'm not sure if they would. I can't recall. I think that they play at least 3. The question is, do they play 4? Now, unfortunately, they are going to get a teammates here, so they're going to get whatever they need to get the knockout, and maybe even set themselves up for next turn. So probably going to grab a double colorless and maybe a Fighting Fairy Belt. There's the double colorless. Maybe a Pumpkaboo or another Pokemon. We see an Ultra Ball. Maybe they grab the Ultra Ball so that they... Okay, so we see them Ultra Balling for a Pumpkaboo. We'll see, do they have a... Nope, they're just going to go for the Night March. So they don't get the Fairy Belt, which is great. Now, obviously, we would like to bump the stadium here and make it really, really hard for our opponent. But let's see what happens here. We are going to send up the Carbink. We are going to Break Evolve and get a knockout. And I think we're going to probably put another Strong Energy in the discard with this Battle Compressor. Let's see what we've got here. What are we comfortable discarding at this point? Probably Lysander. We don't really want to like top deck Lysander. AZ and Hex Maniac. We could get, like I said, we could get rid of another Strong Energy. Oh, okay, we had 2 Strong Energy in the discard, so that seems fine. We do have 2 Fighting Stadiums left. And we will just attach, and we will Diamond Gift. Now, we are going to get a knockout, which is fantastic. We're going to power something up. Now, and the nice thing here is that if our opponent does go for the knockout, we get another Meditite off the prizes. If our opponent goes for the knockout on the Meditite, then we can actually just power up another one with a Carbink break. But we would love to have a Medicham next turn. And, I mean, it seems like as long as we don't keep drawing dead, we have opportunity to win the game. Right now, a Smack would be doing, I think, there's resistance, so maybe only 40 damage. We do see the Lysander, though, on the Meditite, unfortunately. So we are going to lose this Meditite, which would be a real bummer if we top deck into a Medicham. But the Medicham would still be useful. And what we're going to do here is send up Carbink break. Alright, so we did top deck Medicham, which would have, I mean, we would have had a fantastic turn this turn. We would have taken a knockout on the Pumpkaboo. But even still, we do have an opportunity to take a knockout on a Pumpkaboo. We're going to just attach to a Meditite, and then we're going to be able to evolve next turn. The question is, are we going to be able to take a knockout? And we really need our opponent to knock out a Lysander this turn. They do only have 3 cards left in deck. And we see a Puzzle of Time. Is it a double Puzzle of Time? Is it a single Puzzle of Time? If it's a double puzzle, we may be doomed. Oh no, it was a double puzzle, and I do get the Lysander, and wow, that is just pretty disheartening. That's really disheartening, actually. But I mean, we still can top deck out of this if we can bump the stadium, and they don't have a stadium. Oh, we just get a megaphone. It's not going to be good enough. It's just not going to be good enough. They can Lysander and take the win. And wow, I mean, there were so many things we could have top decked there that would have been helpful. So many different things, and instead we top deck a startling megaphone. I mean, really, like we did almost dig ourselves out of a big hole there. Like we could have top decked a stadium, which would have forced them to replace the stadium. I'm not sure if they even have any more. We could have. I think they've already played 2, or maybe 3, and then we could have top decked a VS Seeker, so we could end them to 1, or get a supporter or something like that. Anything. Probably an end to 1 would have been really big. We could have top decked a supporter itself. So many different things. If they would have just not hit that Lysander, but yeah. And like I said here, going twice really hurts. I mean, you can see what happened. I mean, the game that we went first, we had a lot. Things went a lot smoother for us. The game we went second, things did not go so well. And I guess we'll just play down our hand and finish this game out. But yeah, great set of games with this opponent, and they were a great opponent. And but yeah, just unfortunate for things to go that way. We do end up 4-2 in the tournament, which, like I said, does put us in a possibility of getting, prizing, especially since we went into this game 4-1. That means that our opponent is going to be 5-1, which makes our resistance better. So there's an opportunity for us to still get prizing here. And yeah, I was mentioning about the megaphone being prized. That made things really hard too. And they're telling us how, okay, yeah, they top decked one puzzle piece and then got the other one off of the prize. Wow, so if they hadn't gotten that, we would have almost certainly won the game. And just brutal. But good games to my opponent. And you can see we're kind of chatting about it, but really nice to have a conversation there that was civil, even with the Night Marcher. And they're going to take the knockout for the win there. And we can see they did a ton of damage. And I kind of want to take a look at our opponent's deck real quick, just because I'm wondering how many stadiums they had. And let's see, it looks like, how many stadiums did they have? They played 3 Fighting Fairy Bolts, and they had 3 stadiums. Okay, so we definitely could have won the stadium war there. They did only have 1 Zero-Sick. They did not have a megaphone, so that was why they kept going for that Zero-Sick. But yeah, otherwise, pretty standard list. Just kind of trying to figure out what they had there. They actually had 2 Lysander, which is also pretty big, and 2 Hex Maniac, which didn't matter against us. And like I said, that Enhanced Hammer just never really came into play. 3 Acrobike, so very interesting deck. And I hope you enjoyed watching this tournament. We will probably come back with another one next month. We'll see. But hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.